So on my far left, I'm delighted to introduce Abdelhady Ragab. He's the FinTech and Digital Platforms Senior Manager for WE Telecom in Egypt. And to my left is Ahmed Serag. He's the Cloudcom Director. And so I'm very pleased you're here because obviously there's a few issues with flights, and it wouldn't have been quite so interesting if it had just been me up here. But anyway, I have my guests, and I'm delighted about that. So first of all, before we dive into the specifics of what's happening in your region, just tell us very briefly about your organisation. So Abdelhady first.
Sure. First of all, thank you, Tim. Thank you, everyone, for this precious hosting in this historic place. Briefly, I'm Abdelhady Ragab. I'm working in the Telecom since around 20 years. In Egypt, in the specific, moved between two mobile operators among the four operating MNOs in Egypt now. Currently, I'm managing the FinTech and digital platforms development sector in Telecom Egypt, which is the dominant mobile and fixed connectivity operator, and of course, the international cabling dominant player in the corner of the African region. My pleasure being there, and of course, I'm very excited to be part of this event and this session. Thank you.
Thank you. Serag.
Hi.
Yes. You're live.
So thank you, Tim, for having us today. I'm Ahmed Serag. I'm managing the product team in Cloudcom, and we are developing CPaaS solutions to the enterprises, to telecom operators, and recently we have been very focused on the mobile identity solutions for the past 2 years. And thank you again for having us, and would like to have a nice session with you.
Good. So, Ahmed, I'll stick with you first.
Okay.
Tell us a little bit about the market in your region, the demographics, market innovations, and so on.
Yes, if I'm talking about the MENA region, to be specifically in Egypt, for example, where I live, where I am a consumer as well, I can see that there is a lot of change, especially after the COVID. The people became more using the internet, using online shopping. They became online users more and more. And in the past 6 years, there is a shift in the digital services a lot. And accordingly, the financial services as well has been moved towards digitalization and digital onboarding process and all this stuff. So to know the customer digitally became very important now, and we believe that we have to be a part of this because we are a CPaaS providers. The main thing that we are providing communication platforms. So to have something really needed by enterprises is to authenticate the customers, and the identity of their customers became more and more important. And here we are doing a lot of effort in this domain now to have enabling this to the enterprises, and at the same time we are enabling the telecom operators as well, because there is a lot of stakeholders when it comes to the mobile identity. And we believe that the telecoms have a lot of information that can be exposed in a standardized way to the enterprises. And this is what we are working now today with the help of operators like we, of course, one of the pioneers in the mobile identities solution in the market now in Egypt. So, yes.
And we began by talking about SMS OTPs. How well established is that method of authentication in your region, Ahmed? Are your enterprise customers using it across the board, or how well developed is that market?
Me?
Yeah.
Oh, yes, it's very well developed. It's used in different sectors, especially, of course, in the banking sector and the fintech sector, e-commerce, mobility services or use cases as well. There is a lot of use cases, a lot of sectors using the OTP in the MENA region. Still, the SMS is a big thing. Still, it's been used and adopted by many enterprises. However, there is some gaps that need to be addressed and to be solved, mainly related to fraud cases. So this is what we are trying to do and solve now.
So we'll come on to fraud. So Abdelhady, from your point of view as an MNO, are you seeing a lot of business still from SMS OTPs?
Definitely. The question is what will make the customer trust the application or the OTT they are using? Starting from and even before the COVID-19 pandemic, a massive demand had been attacking the e-commerce business and financial institutions at all. For almost 1 year, we were working from home and remotely. That driven the consumer market, which is around 1 million citizens in Egypt at that time. They have been driven aggressively to fulfill all their daily needs remotely and from online stores or shopping gates. Why I'm talking about this scenario in specific, because this had put a huge demand on authenticating and attesting the application identity versus the citizen identity. Because definitely any consumer is used to use his credit card or even cash while interfacing with the buyer or the seller and the merchant guys. They became not confident while using their credit cards and digital payment methods remotely. So lots of use cases have been developed, and definitely lots of fraud attacks and manipulation tricks have been developed at this stage as well. By the end of this situation, which is definitely interrupted the ecosystem at all, especially with authenticating and attesting the identity, the massive use of this channel, the SMS in specific, had increased triple times, I think, and landed with lots of gaps, as just Serag mentioned. These gaps had enforced lots of regulations to be revisited, and of course, lots of investment to be put in place, either by the mobile operators or from the service providers, or even the end B2B customers. And by the way, our scope in Telecom Egypt is 100% focused on enriching the B2B customers. Whatever the sector, whatever the business nature, almost all of them are trusting still the mobile services, including the channels that are still very, very secured, well encrypted, and of course, well regulated in Egypt. So name it, we have no reason to exclude any nature of business or any industry to use the SMS in their authentication or attestation journey.
Yes, especially that the enterprises or the applications that depend on the mobile number as an identity of their customers. So it's very, very important to verify these users. So, yes.
Can you talk, Serag, about the specific kinds of fraud that are starting to damage the SMS OTP space?
There is a lot, a lot of cases that.
But we are there. Don't miss it.
Yes. We're trying to solve a lot of problems in the market, but mainly we can see, and I believe all of you guys see, there is a lot of SMS pumping, a lot of SMS phishing scam calls that try to intercept an OTP with a customers during a critical transaction or something like that. So you have a lot of fraud cases that can be developed. As much as the technology is developing, as much as the fraud cases is developing as well. Especially now when we have AI powers, the AI became helping to develop much complicated fraud cases as well. So there is a lot, there is a many, but mainly the basic ones that we see that AIT traffic, SMS pumping, phishing, and all this stuff. And we don't know what's coming in the future in terms of scams.
And how has the government responded to this? Has there been regulatory action to stop fraud in any of your regions? Serag?
Whatever. Yeah.
Sure. The regulators had become more cautious and more intelligent after the massive attacks, and definitely the implementation of AI tricks became very aggressive when it comes to sneaky and tricky manipulations being played nowadays that drive the whole ecosystem to become more secured, either from the security perspective or infosec scope, or from the regulatory compliance that should be applied on all the ecosystem players, mobile operators, system integrators, or even SMS developers or providers. These disrupted scene have put lots of changes on the infrastructure itself when it comes to the mobile operator and the firewall implementation and that stuff related to securing the entry gates of the network, because definitely the entry gates of the mobile operators are itself the entry gates of the consumer financial assets. Having said so, lots of regulations have been developed and enhanced in the complexity. And by the way, today is a new implementation of a new rule in the Egyptian market, specifically in the A2P SMS pricing. Today we are launching a new phase of controlling the pricing and blocking some contracts that were previously allowing the fraudsters to manipulate between the international and local traffic types, and of course put more burdens on the investment from the mobile operator or the aggregator's side without any compensation, because the fraudster is just developing a new trick, flooding the network and flooding the industry when it comes to financial industry sector, for example. And all of us had to pay for securing more and more or testing the new use cases with the new regulations. So it's a ping-pong scenario being played between the regulators in Egypt and the operators and the ecosystem players. The end result is that the consumer should be secured, and that's definitely all our target here. That's it.
So you have this rise of fraud, you have more regulatory inspection of the market. Are you, Serag, starting to see your customers looking for new authentication solutions?
Yes, sorry. Yes, definitely. We are trying to solve a lot of problems when it comes to the fraud cases. And we have developed, as a CPaaS provider, we are reacting to the customer needs at the end of the day. There is an innovation part, yes, there is an R&D part, but at the end of the day, we innovate and we do the research and development to solve real customer problems. So when we have a problem, we try to solve it. And we have been working with big names in the financial sector to close such fraud cases. And we have developed a very nice way to minimize or to have like a close to zero fraud cases, like Verify solution that we provide. We have a different technique now to make sure that the customer is being verified, and at the same time the SIM card is within his possession and it's inserted inside the handset. It's still SMS-based authentication, but it's a new technique. It's called in the market SIM binding, sometimes device binding mechanism. So yes, we developed a lot, and we believe that Verify solution that we provide now is just a transition period to the real solution, which I believe it's the network APIs and the phone number verification APIs.
So, Abdelhady, at the moment, how established is the network API among mobile network operators? Do they support the open gateway standards yet, or what does it look like, the market?
Well, currently there is lots of talks between the MNOs and especially my network is working with the regulator in Egypt, the national regulator and telecommunication authority. Basically, they are starting with validating the use cases and making sure of the data sovereignty is secured, of course, and from the other side, tailoring some updates on the mobile operator licenses that will cover this type of new services and, of course, allow the market players from deploying it. Currently, the talks more faster than before. We are in the phase of tailoring the content of what should be added to the licenses for the mobile operators, and of course, the reflection of these additions on the licenses provided to the VAS providers in the Egyptian market. At this stage, we have worked with the Egyptian regulatory team with lots of exploration sessions and, of course, fine-tuning some gaps when it comes to the service-ready nodes that will be involved in this new setup, because we are talking about almost 30 touch points that will be interrogated within the mobile network operator. So we just need to make sure that by maybe Q3, Q4 this year, the final framework of these new regulations will be issued. And of course, we are ready and will be ready with the support from Cloudcom, of course, to be the first, inshallah. I hope so.
Serag, you mentioned this SIM binding solution.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a bit more about that? Can you give us like an idea of what it's like from a user point of view to use it? And also how you...
It's a secret, Tim, I cannot tell. No.
It's not going to be a very good panel session if everything's a secret.
No, it's simple mechanism. We are trying to capture a lot of data points from the consumer side first, and we try to combine different key players within the use case, within the authentication transaction itself. So we're trying from different paths. So we're trying to capture some information from the device, trying to capture some information from the mobile app itself, but the back-end system of the mobile app, and from the telecom. So we do a combination of different data point collections to make sure that this customer at this moment doing this transaction now. This is a way that we are trying to, and of course, the device type that he's using now, and the network that he's attached to it now. A lot of factors, a lot of key factors combined together, as I mentioned, with, of course, adding a layer of security, signatures, and encryptions that helped us a lot to stop the fraud cases, stop SMS pumping. But I think in some cases, it's not for consumers. It needs that the customer itself doing the transaction. So if I'm giving the card to my wife, she cannot use it now because she needs to using my mobile handset. So it's in some use cases it needs that the real customer using this or doing this transaction at the moment.
So it stops your wife spending money.
Yes, exactly.
Sounds pretty good. Abdelhady, can you tell us about your experience of your view on this way of authenticating customers?
Okay, so when you are talking about the financial movement, the financial inclusion movement that currently being implemented in Egypt, we are almost talking about more than 1 million Egyptian customers with almost 105% penetration using the financial services. This number is reflecting around 75% of them are already financially included. This gives us a huge indication that the initiatives and the regulated updates on this market have been implemented well and securely. From the other side, the FinTech ecosystem is still counting on the well-regulated authentication methodologies. When we are talking about the evolution of the FinTech ecosystem in Egypt, we have 100% of the banking institutions, beside around 150 payment service providers, are all engaged in one regulatory framework, which is the FRA mandates, the Financial Regulatory Authority in Egypt. This huge number of market players in financial sector are putting lots of pressure on the security measures being enforced by both FRA and NTRA to secure the mobile customer. By the end of the day, it's a mobile user. So the responsibility will be lobbying around the mobile network and its readiness to protect the consumer, not only from being abused by bill shock in using not accurate usage, but also from stealing all his financial assets. So the ecosystem is putting more pressure, and from the other side, the investments are billions of dollars yearly paid to enrich this ecosystem with very assertive protecting gateways. And of course, with lots of efforts being exerted from the other side in pushing more percentage of the customers to be financially included. And this very strict equation is only being balanced by homogeneous efforts between all of the players in this ecosystem, either the regulatory authorities or the FinTech players. That's.
So you talked about the progress you're making in FinTech. What other sectors do you think you can go after next? Where is there the most potential for using API authentication?
Well, we can say what other industries will not start using it, because at this stage, almost all the industries interacting with the customers or even with the B2B sectors are using the legacy authentication methodologies like two-factor authentication and that stuff. So we have all the FinTech ecosystem, e-commerce, agri-tech, whatever, education-related technologies, every single service or digital service that require the mobile number or the MSISDN of the user to be part of its registration will need this authentication service. So the equation is very simple. Whenever they are using the two-factor authentication or the SMS for OTP, they will be shifting dramatically to use the silent authentication. Regardless the investments needed in the first phase, but you are investing in a huge number of secured use cases, and from the other side, well protected customers. Because at this stage, the end victim is the consumer. He is losing all his financial resources just by one trick or one mistake from the ecosystem players, which is not justified by all means from the consumer perspective.
Yeah, I mean, in such a mobile-first region, it's, the damage can be immense.
For sure.
Serag, can you tell us about some of the other products that maybe relate to this area? Like you have a call masking product, for example. Can you tell us about some of these?
Yeah, that's true. We have, under the umbrella of the mobile identity, we are very pro network APIs and network signals to expose them. But at the end of the day, as I mentioned before, we are reacting to the customer needs. In some countries, some places that we need to develop some solutions to solve some issues related to the identity or authentication or data privacy, we do it as well. So we are collaborating with We now in providing phone masking solutions in Egypt, for example. Mainly they are targeting the mobility use cases, where they're like ride-hailing, last mile deliveries, and all these solutions that need mobility, and at the same time to secure the customer privacy. So our solution is mainly to put like a proxy between the companies or the employees of the companies and the real customer and real end users. And we we now, I think it's still in progress, right? Okay, so we'll enable this solution very soon. And still, as I told you, it's still under the mobile identity use cases. And we are willing to do whatever needed in the markets that we are working in. Solving this issue in Egypt is something maybe we have in North Africa and Tunisia, Algeria. We have a very good footprint that we can serve our clients and telecoms as well, telecom operators. We are open to listen, to know the specifics of each country, and to solve the identity issues there.
So it's interesting that you're proving people's identity, but you're also masking people's identity.
Yeah,
You know, so
exactly.
it shows how flexible these systems can be. We've got like 3 minutes, so if there's one question from the audience, if not, I've got a little roundup question to ask. Okay, so yeah, just quickly then, guys, what are you working on? As long as it's not a secret, Serag, what are you working on in this year?
We are working on APN. APN is the evolution of a Verify solution, the silent authentication or the SIM binding mechanism. Now we are working on APN solution. APN is the open gateway to monetize the network KPIs for the telecom operators. Don't worry, there is no investment. Zero capex, no worries.
We are already overwhelmed, Serag.
No worries about that. But yes, we are working in different domains, to be honest. We are working with telecom operators. We are working with the regulatory bodies. We are working with the telecom regulatory. We are working with the financial services regulatory, like the central banks, trying to build with them to help them to build the frameworks that should be followed. And at the same time, the tech part, we are very confident about the tech part. We enabled our APN solution with the top-notch technologies, updated technologies now. We are using TS43 protocols to serve different use cases when it comes to Wi-Fi use cases as well. So the tech is good. Now we are working in the logistics part, the frameworks and the regulatory part. And of course with the telecom operators as well.
Yeah, definitely. Part of this logistics part is being ready. I'm now working on developing lots of RFPs to make my network service ready to whatever new regulations to be implemented at zero time in the future. I'm expanding some nodes and some points of entry in the VAS network nowadays. In parallel, we are, as I said, working on updating the mobile operators licenses with the NTRA as a governmental entity. We are keen to make sure of being ready as a B2B market player, and of course as a consumer-driven industrial sector, which is the financial sector. And with Cloudcom support, of course, we have put some good steps starting from Q1 this year, and hopefully by 2 quarters from now we're gonna be live. I hope so.
Well, it sounds like there's going to be a lot happening in your region and with your 2 companies. You sound like you're going to be very busy this year. So thanks for that amazing overview of what's happening in your market. Thanks, Abdelhady, and thanks, Serag. Thanks for listening.
Thank you, Tim. Thank
Enjoy
you.
the rest of the afternoon.
Good.